Under the dim flicker of a street lamp, a pair of wrists, bound by gleaming steel handcuffs, came into view. They belonged to a black woman in her early 40s, her slender fingers etched with deep cuff marks. She stood tall beside a polished black Mercedes S-Class, parked on the roadside, a stark contrast to her predicament. Her blouse was slightly rumpled, one collar askew from a brief, forceful scuffle. The yellow glow of streetlights mixed with pulsing police lights, casting shadows on her tense frame. Her face, partially obscured, showed a tightly set jaw, radiating controlled fury. Her eyes locked forward, not with fear, but with a chilling calm, hinting at suppressed rage. 2 officers stood nearby. Officer Mark Brennan, a heavy-set man in his 50s with a flushed face and a strained uniform, leaned against the patrol car, arms folded. His stare dripped with smug disdain. "Told you not to act smart," Brennan sneered, his voice cutting through the tense air, laced with the arrogance of victory. Silence shattered. His words hung heavy. Officer Luke Carter, younger, with a shaved head, snickered, prowling around the Mercedes, peering into its windows. "Let's check this fancy ride. Probably hiding something dirty," he taunted. The woman didn't flinch. She inhaled deeply, the crisp autumn air thick with wet leaves and urban grime. Her voice, steady and low, cut through. "This stop is unlawful. You've no cause to detain me. Search my car or cuff me." Her words carried a quiet, steely resolve. Brennan's laugh was harsh, grating. He stepped from the patrol car, looming closer. "In my town, I decide what's lawful. Driving like that, in this car, in this neighborhood, that's enough." He stopped inches from her, his breath reeking of stale coffee. "Maybe a drug test, too. You people always hide something." Carter, pausing his inspection, flanked Brennan, their presence menacing. "I demand your names and badge numbers," she said, her tone calm but firm. "And a phone call." "Demanding, huh?" Brennan mocked, tapping his name tag. "Officer Brennan, OC 2148. That's Carter, OC 3791. Tell your cheap lawyer." Carter smirked. "Calling who?" "Your bookie to cover fines?" The woman's silence fueled their irritation. Her composure, unshaken despite the cuffs, challenged their authority. A black woman, unafraid, was an affront. Neither officer nor she foresaw the ripple effect of her call. A spark that would ignite a firestorm, shaking not just them but powers far beyond their small world. The drama on Pinewood's quiet streets was just the start. It began 15 minutes earlier, when a sleek Mercedes S-Class glided through Oakwood City, heading toward the rougher east side. The driver, Lena Morgan, a woman in her early 40s, was visiting her aging father. Exhausted from a long drive from her military post in North Carolina, she craved her dad's home-cooked meal. Taking Cedar Lane, a familiar shortcut, she ignored the patrol car trailing her, unaware of its intent. Lena drove carefully, obeying every traffic rule. Yet, for officers Brennan and Carter in the cruiser, a black woman in a luxury car was suspicious enough. "Check that Mercedes," Carter said, his voice thick with bias. New to the beat, his prejudice was unchecked. Brennan, a 25-year veteran stalled by his own bigotry, nodded. "Doesn't belong here. Bet they're carrying cash." He grinned. "Lights on, Luke. Pull her over." Carter flipped on the red and blue lights, siren blaring briefly. Lena glanced in her rearview mirror, startled but composed. She signaled, eased the car to the curb, and cut the engine. Rolling her window halfway, she waited. Brennan strode up, skipping pleasantries, and rapped sharply on the glass. "Out of the car now," he barked, his tone harsh. Lena frowned. "Officer, what's the issue?" His hand hovered near his holster. "Don't question me. Get out. Show me your papers." Keeping calm, Lena reached for her wallet, her movements deliberate. Brennan didn't wait. He yanked the door open, startling Lena. "Move it! What's taking so long?" His eyes scanned the car, then her, with crude judgment. "What's a car like this doing here? You don't belong." Carter circled behind, blocking her path, his smirk evident. Lena stepped out, maintaining her dignity. She handed over her license and registration. "Here are my documents." Brennan snatched them, glancing at the name. Lena Morgan, with a P.O. box in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Military address. Brennan either missed it or didn't care. To him, a black woman in a high-end car spelled trouble. "Fort Bragg, huh? What's your game, driving up here? Not just visiting family, right?" Lena's voice was clear, measured. "I'm a soldier, an officer, on leave to see my father. He lives on Pine Street nearby. This car's mine, legally bought. Now, why am I stopped?" Her calm professionalism seemed to irritate them further, defying their expectations of submission. "Soldier?" Carter scoffed. "Plenty of crooks in uniform. Maybe you're hauling drugs for someone." Brennan smirked. "Car's too clean. Bet there's cash or dope in the trunk." Lena met his gaze. "You've got no warrant, no reason to suspect me. This is harassment, plain and simple, based on my race and my car." Her bluntness shifted Brennan's tactic. He motioned Carter back, lowering his voice, feigning friendliness. "Look, Soldier Morgan, let's not escalate. We can sort this quietly." He leaned closer, his tone sly. "It's late. We all want to go home. Be reasonable. Say $700 cash on the spot for erratic driving. No report, no search. You walk away." Lena's eyes burned with disgust. "That's extortion, officer, a crime. I won't pay a dime. I've done nothing wrong, and I'm not scared of your threats. Return my papers or file a proper report. I want your names and badge numbers." Her defiance stoked their anger further. Brennan's face reddened, his control slipping. "You're calling me a crook, defying the law?" He turned to Carter. "Cuff her, resisting an officer." Carter lunged, twisting Lena's arm behind her. She gasped, pulling back, but Brennan gripped her shoulders. "Stop moving, that's another charge." The cuffs snapped shut, cold metal biting her wrists. Pushed against the Mercedes, Lena fought the sting of pain and shame. The officers gloated, unaware they'd just sealed their own downfall with their actions. "Not so tough now," Brennan taunted, hands on hips, savoring his perceived victory. Carter rummaged through Lena's purse, illegally dumping its contents. Wallet, keys, makeup, a notebook, and a rugged military-grade phone, onto the patrol car's hood. Lena steadied her breathing, the tight cuffs cutting into her skin. Panic was useless. Strategy was key. She'd faced worse in combat. "I need to make a phone call," she said, her voice calm, professional, despite the humiliating circumstances. "Still yapping about calls?" Brennan sneered. "Who's going to save you, your shady lawyer?" Carter picked up her phone, inspecting it. "Fancy gear? Stolen, maybe?" Lena ignored the jabs. "It's for work, my legal right, even if detained." Brennan shrugged, smirking at Carter. "Let her make her pathetic call. Might be fun." Carter held the phone awkwardly to Lena's ear, her hands still cuffed. "Make it quick," he mocked. Lena focused, knowing this call would change everything. With a steady breath, Lena spoke clearly into the phone, her voice cutting through the night. "This is Colonel Lena Morgan, service number Bravo Tango 3924018. The word Colonel erased the officers' smirks. They exchanged stunned glances. She continued, undeterred. "Unsecured line, requesting immediate connection to the National Military Command Center, Pentagon. Priority 1, broken arrow incident involving a senior officer under duress. The air grew heavy, her words reshaping the scene with undeniable authority. Brennan muttered, "Colonel." "No way." But Lena's voice pressed on, precise, commanding. Location, Cedar Lane and 10th Street, Oakwood. Status, illegally detained by officers Mark Brennan, badge OC2148, and Luke Carter, badge OC3791. Evidence of power abuse, racial bias, and attempted extortion. Request urgent notification to Major General Hawkins, Office of the Army Chief of Staff, and coordination with Army CID and FBI for intervention. The officers froze, their confidence crumbling under the weight of her words. Silence gripped the street. Pentagon, NMCC, broken arrow. Terms far beyond their grasp, hit like a shockwave. Brennan's face paled. Carter's flashlight slipped from his trembling hand. Lena's tone remained unwavering, reporting as if on a mission. She paused, listening to the response only she could hear. The officer's bravado vanished, replaced by dread. They'd mocked a high-ranking military officer, not some helpless civilian. Cold sweat beaded on their necks as the reality of their mistake sank in. "No, this can't be," Brennan stammered, stepping back, his voice shaky. "Ma'am, Colonel, misunderstanding, right?" Carter, trembling, fumbled toward the cuffs. "We're sorry, really sorry, didn't know." Lena's icy stare silenced them. She shook her head as Carter reached for the handcuffs, preserving the evidence. The radio on Brennan's shoulder crackled, a frantic voice breaking through. "Car 19, Brennan. Carter, report. What's going on with Colonel Morgan? Chief's orders. Hold the scene. No further action." Brennan's shaky hand grabbed the radio. "Roger, Center," he croaked. Carter sank to his knees, face drained. The call had reached not just the police chief, but the Pentagon itself. Lena stood, still cuffed, under the flashing lights, no longer a lone target but the eye of a gathering storm. The officers' arrogance had unraveled, their careers teetering. They'd underestimated Colonel Lena Morgan, a woman whose authority and connections dwarfed their small world, igniting a reckoning. Less than 10 minutes later, tires screeched as 2 patrol cars and a black sedan roared up, lights flashing but sirens off. A sign of urgency and caution. Oakwood Police Chief Daniel Hayes, a stern man in his late 50s, stepped from the sedan, his face taut with worry. 2 senior officers trailed him, equally grim. Hayes hurried to Lena, ignoring Brennan and Carter, who cowered by their cruiser, their fates now sealed by their own reckless actions. "Colonel Morgan," Hayes said, voice strained but respectful. "I'm Chief Hayes. I've been notified by Army Command and the Pentagon. On behalf of Oakwood Police, I deeply apologize for this outrageous incident." He turned to a lieutenant, removed the colonel's cuffs carefully. The officer rushed forward, unlocking the tight handcuffs, revealing red marks on Lena's wrists. She rubbed them, her gaze fixed on Hayes, questioning but composed, as the officer's world began to collapse under the weight of their misconduct. Lena stood firm, wrists still stinging from the cuffs, her composure unshaken. Chief Hayes, voice tight, continued, "We'll fully cooperate with military and federal probes. No cover-ups." He glared at Brennan and Carter. "Surrender your badges, weapons IDs, now. You're suspended pending investigation. Report to headquarters, room 5, and stay put." The officers, faces pale, silently handed over their gear to the lieutenant, their shame palpable. They slunk into a patrol car, driven off as Lena's piercing gaze followed them. That night, a swift, sprawling investigation launched. The case's severity: abusing a high-ranking officer, clear civil rights violations, and potential federal crimes, stripped Oakwood police of jurisdiction. The FBI took charge, led by Special Agent Sarah Bennett from the regional office. The Army sent a crack CID team to Oakwood, ensuring Lena's safety and gathering military angle evidence. Lena's testimony, sharp and detailed, anchored the probe. Her intelligence training shone, reconstructing events with precision, from the baseless stop to the extortion attempt, leaving no room for doubt. Body cam footage, though incomplete, was damning. Brennan and Carter hadn't recorded the extortion, but clips of the unjust stop, their smug taunts, and Lena's rough cuffing spoke volumes. The FBI seized Lena's military phone, its Pentagon call backed up by the command center system, adding ironclad proof. Agents interviewed Brennan and Carter separately. Under pressure, their stories unraveled, riddled with contradictions. They admitted to the wrongful stop and abusive language but denied extortion, though Lena's account and circumstantial evidence pinned them firmly. The FBI dug into the officers' histories. Brennan's 25-year record was littered with complaints of bullying and bias, mostly ignored. Carter, newer, had similar accusations of prejudice. Suspicious cash deposits in Brennan's accounts hinted at routine shakedowns. The investigation moved fast, driven by the case's gravity. Lena's professionalism never wavered. She provided clear, objective statements, her memory razor-sharp. Her status as Colonel Lena Morgan, a decorated officer, amplified the case's weight, drawing scrutiny from federal and military brass alike. After weeks of relentless work, the federal prosecutor's office, armed with FBI and CID reports, charged Brennan and Carter in federal court. Counts included 1. Civil rights violations under Title 18, Section 242, for depriving Lena of liberty based on race. 2. Attempted extortion under the Hobbs Act, for leveraging authority to demand cash. 3. Unlawful detention, for cuffing her without cause. Oakwood police, under fire, fired both officers permanently. Their careers shattered as the case's fallout began to ripple outward. The trial loomed, drawing national attention. A Black Army colonel mistreated by local cops touched raw nerves: racism, police abuse, and government power clashing. Lena, in her crisp Army uniform, medals gleaming, stepped into the courtroom, her presence commanding silence. She didn't need theatrics. Her steady gaze and poise indicted the defendants. Answering prosecutors' questions, she recounted the night's events with chilling clarity, her voice devoid of anger, just facts. The defense's attempts to discredit her crumbled against her unshakable logic. Prosecutors built an airtight case. Lena's testimony, body cam clips, Pentagon call transcripts, expert testimony on police protocol, and the officers' shady records. They stressed the betrayal of public trust, the racial animus driving the crime, and the audacity of targeting a colonel. Brennan and Carter's lawyers floundered, pleading stress or poor training, claiming the officers' community service mitigated their mistake. But the evidence was overwhelming, their excuses hollow against the stark reality of their actions, exposed for all to see. The jury, diverse and attentive, weighed both sides. After deliberation, they delivered a unanimous verdict: guilty on all charges. Brennan and Carter sat stone-faced, their fates sealed. The courtroom buzzed as the decision sank in. Lena remained composed, her role as witness fulfilled, her dignity intact. The case had become a lightning rod, sparking debates on systemic bias and accountability. For Brennan and Carter, the sentencing loomed, a reckoning for their abuse of power and betrayal of their oaths. Sentencing day was solemn. Federal Judge Evelyn Carter, a Black woman known for fairness, presided. She fixed Brennan and Carter with a stern gaze. You were entrusted to protect, yet you preyed on Colonel Lena Morgan, targeting her for her race, abusing your authority for greed. She serves this nation, defending the freedoms you defiled. Your actions disgrace the badge and erode trust." Her voice sharpened. "This court will not tolerate such corruption. Justice demands a clear, unyielding response." Judge Carter's words echoed. "Racism and power abuse are poisons tearing at our society. You, Mark Brennan, and you, Luke Carter, betrayed your duty, targeting a decorated officer. Colonel Morgan's service dwarfs your petty crimes." She paused, letting the weight settle. "For civil rights violations, extortion attempts, and unlawful detention, I sentence Mark Brennan to 7 years in federal prison. Luke Carter, 7 years in federal prison." Gasps filled the room as the gavel fell, sealing their punishment. Brennan slumped. Carter trembled. Their families wept. Federal agents stepped forward, cuffing them again, leading them from the courtroom to begin their sentences. The 7-year term sent shockwaves beyond Oakwood, a stark warning of federal crackdowns on local abuses, especially against military personnel and racial minorities. The case exposed cracks in the system, forcing hard questions about oversight and bias. For Lena, it was validation. Her stand had toppled 2 corrupt officers, sparking change far beyond that fateful night. Oakwood police faced a trust crisis. Under Justice Department scrutiny and public outrage, Chief Hayes resigned, his legacy tainted. Reforms swept in: stricter hiring, mandatory bias and sensitivity training, and rigorous body cam oversight with harsh penalties for tampering. An independent civilian board gained real power to probe misconduct. The changes, though overdue, marked a start. Lena's case became a catalyst, forcing Oakwood to confront its flaws and begin a long, fraught journey toward accountability and community trust. Lena, after her pivotal role in the investigation and trial, returned to her life with quiet resolve. She spent the rest of her leave with her father in Oakwood, who was shaken but proud. Declining media interviews, she issued a brief Army statement, praising the justice system and thanking the FBI, CID, and Pentagon for their swift action. She noted that not all police were like Brennan and Carter, many serving honorably, and hoped her story would inspire reform. Back at Fort Bragg, Lena resumed commanding her intelligence unit, her reputation soaring. Known as a brilliant strategist and leader, she also became a symbol of resilience. The Oakwood incident didn't break her. It fueled her drive. She joined mentorship programs, guiding young officers, especially women and minorities, through military challenges. Her experience shaped her advocacy, pushing for diversity and inclusion in the armed forces, turning pain into purpose, ensuring her legacy extended beyond the courtroom. The case's impact lingered. Oakwood's reforms, though imperfect, set a precedent. Other departments faced pressure to adopt similar measures, with body cam policies tightening nationwide. Lena's story, widely covered, sparked grassroots movements demanding police accountability. Her refusal to bow to intimidation resonated, inspiring civilians and soldiers alike to challenge injustice. The FBI and CID's swift action reinforced trust in federal oversight, proving no one was above the law, not even those hiding behind badges in small-town precincts. Brennan and Carter's downfall was a cautionary tale. Their convictions highlighted the risks of unchecked bias and corruption. The FBI uncovered more of Brennan's shady dealings, confirming a pattern of extortion. Carter, though less experienced, showed early signs of following the same path. Their sentences deterred others, signaling that federal courts would act decisively. Lena's precise testimony and the undeniable evidence, body cams, call logs, financial records, ensured their guilt was indisputable, closing any loopholes for appeal or leniency. Lena's mentorship grew. She spoke at military seminars, sharing her story to bridge civil-military gaps. Her focus on inclusion drew praise, earning her invitations to Pentagon panels on diversity. She never sought fame, but her actions spoke louder. The Oakwood incident, once a moment of humiliation, became a turning point, amplifying her influence. She taught officers to navigate prejudice with grace and strength, her calm under fire a model for leadership in crisis, her legacy etched in lives changed. The Justice Department's oversight of Oakwood continued, ensuring reforms stuck. Civilian complaints dropped as trust slowly rebuilt. Lena's case was cited in legal journals, a benchmark for the civil rights prosecutions. Her Pentagon call, a masterstroke of strategy, was studied in military training, showing how to leverage authority in duress. Brennan and Carter, now inmates, faded from relevance, their names synonymous with disgrace. Lena, however, emerged stronger, her courage a beacon for those fighting systemic wrongs. National media revisited the case, framing it as a clash of power, a black colonel versus corrupt cops. It fueled debates on race, policing, and military-civilian relations. Lena's restraint, never lashing out despite provocation, earned admiration. Her statement, urging faith in justice, calmed tensions while demanding change. The FBI's Thompson, lead agent, praised Lena's cooperation, noting her testimony's clarity sealed the case. CID's involvement ensured military voices were heard, reinforcing the Army's commitment to protecting its own. Oakwood's civilian board gained traction, investigating complaints with newfound rigor. Body cam violations now triggered automatic suspensions, a direct nod to Lena's case. The city council, once lax, faced voter pressure to fund training and oversight. Lena's story inspired local activists who rallied for transparency. Her Pentagon call, replayed in news segments, became iconic, a black woman's voice, steady and commanding, dismantling corrupt power. It wasn't just a win, it was a movement, reshaping how justice was pursued. The trial's ripples reached Congress, where lawmakers cited Lena's case in police reform hearings. Her experience underscored the need for federal oversight of local forces. Brennan and Carter's convictions bolstered arguments for stricter penalties for civil rights violations. Lena, unaware of her growing legend, focused on her unit, leading with quiet authority. Her father, in Oakwood, kept newspaper clippings of the trial, beaming with pride. The incident, though painful, had transformed Lena into a force for systemic change. The federal prosecutor's office hailed the verdict as a triumph. The charges, civil rights violations, extortion, unlawful detention, set a precedent for holding officers accountable. Lena's testimony, backed by hard evidence, left no room for doubt. Brennan and Carter's actions, rooted in prejudice, were laid bare. The case wasn't just about them. It exposed a broader rot, demanding reform. Lena's stand, a single call on a dark street, had ignited a fire that burned through Oakwood's corruption, reshaping justice. The trial, dubbed Colonel versus Cops, gripped the nation, igniting debates on racism and police overreach. Lena Morgan, in her decorated Army uniform, took the stand, her presence a silent rebuke. Her testimony, calm and precise, needed no embellishment. The facts condemned Brennan and Carter. Defense lawyers grasped at straws, but Lena's sharp responses dismantled their weak arguments. Prosecutors leaned on her account, body cam clips, and financial records, painting a vivid picture of betrayal driven by prejudice, resonating far beyond the courtroom. The prosecution's case was ironclad, weaving Lena's words with damning evidence. Videos of the stop, taunts, and cuffing, Pentagon call logs, and Brennan's suspicious bank deposits. Experts dissected the officers' violations of protocol, emphasizing racial motives. The defense's pleas of stress or inexperience rang false against the stark truth. Brennan and Carter's oaths to serve were shattered, their actions a stain on the badge. Lena's dignity, unyielding under fire, stood as a powerful contrast, her testimony a beacon for justice. The jury, a cross-section of society, listened intently. After swift deliberation they returned, guilty on all counts, civil rights violations, attempted extortion, unlawful detention. Brennan and Carter's faces fell, their arrogance gone. The verdict was a thunderclap, amplifying calls for reform. Lena sat composed, her role done, her integrity shining. The case became a rallying cry, exposing systemic flaws. It wasn't just a win for her, it was a demand for accountability, echoing in precincts and communities nationwide. At sentencing, Judge Evelyn Carter's voice carried weight. Mark Brennan, Luke Carter, you betrayed your duty, targeting Colonel Morgan for her race, seeking profit through abuse. She defends our nation. You mocked her service. Your actions poison trust and justice. Her gaze was unflinching. This court stands firm against such corruption. Brennan, 7 years in federal prison. Carter, 7 years. The gavel struck. Families gasped, but for many it was justice, a clear signal that no badge shields bigotry or greed. Agents cuffed Brennan and Carter, leading them away as their lives unraveled. The 7-year sentences shook Oakwood and beyond, a federal rebuke of local abuses, especially against soldiers and minorities. The case set a precedent, cited in reform talks. It exposed policing's dark corners, pushing cities to act. Lena's stand, calm, strategic, became a symbol, her Pentagon call a masterclass in wielding authority. The victory wasn't hers alone. It lifted voices long ignored, demanding fairness in a flawed system. Oakwood police reeled under scrutiny. The Justice Department's oversight forced reforms, rigorous hiring, bias training, mandatory body cams with strict monitoring, and a civilian board with teeth. Chief Hayes's resignation marked a low point, but change began. Complaint rates dipped as trust inched back. Lena's case was a turning point, cited in training manuals and legal reviews. Her story fueled activism, with communities pushing for transparency. Oakwood's journey was rocky, but her courage laid the foundation for accountability and healing. Lena returned to Fort Bragg, resuming her intelligence command with quiet strength. She shunned the spotlight, letting her Army statement speak. Gratitude to the FBI, CID, and courts, faith in justice, and hope for reform. She honored honest officers, urging progress over division. Her reputation soared, not just a tactician but a beacon of resilience. The incident didn't define her, it sharpened her purpose. At home, her father beamed, clipping articles, proud of his daughter's unyielding stand against injustice. Lena's influence grew. She mentored young officers, especially women and minorities, sharing tools to navigate bias. At military forums, she spoke on civil-military ties, her Oakwood story a case study in composure under pressure. Her advocacy for inclusion earned Pentagon nods. The pain of that night fueled her drive, not bitterness. She turned humiliation into action, inspiring others to rise above prejudice. Her leadership, forged in crisis, became a model. Her legacy etched in lives she uplifted. The case reshaped policing. Oakwood's reforms spread, with other cities adopting body cam rules and oversight boards. Lena's Pentagon call, replayed in news, became iconic. A black woman's voice toppling corruption. Grassroots groups rallied, citing her as proof one person could shift power. The FBI and CID's swift probe restored faith in federal checks. Brennan and Carter's names faded, synonymous with disgrace, while Lena's rose, a testament to courage. Her story wasn't just news, it was a movement. Nationally, Lena's case spurred Congress to debate police reform, citing her ordeal as evidence of needed oversight. It strengthened calls for tougher civil rights penalties. Her restraint and strategic call were studied in military academies, teaching officers to act decisively in crises. Oakwood's civilian board gained clout, handling complaints with rigor. Lena, focused on her unit, didn't chase fame, but her impact was undeniable. Her father's pride grew, his scrapbook a tribute to her transformative fight. Lena's mentorship expanded, guiding soldiers through systemic challenges. She spoke at diversity panels, her story bridging military and civilian worlds. Refusing victimhood, she channeled pain into progress, earning respect as a leader who turned adversity into strength. Her brief statement, hopeful, measured, calmed tensions while demanding change. The case, a legal landmark, was taught in law schools, her call a lesson in authority. Lena's legacy wasn't just justice, it was empowerment, inspiring countless others to stand tall against wrong. Thank you for following this story. Lena Morgan's courage on a dark Oakwood street sparked a reckoning, toppling corrupt officers and igniting reform. Her stand, rooted in dignity, reshaped policing and inspired a nation. If this tale moved you, please like and subscribe for more stories of resilience and justice. Tomorrow, we'll share another powerful narrative. Stay tuned, and let's keep shining a light on those who fight for what's right, no matter the odds. Lena's journey didn't end in Oakwood. Back at Fort Bragg, she led with renewed purpose, her ordeal a catalyst for growth. She declined fame, but embraced influence, mentoring and advocating. Her father's pride, the nation's attention and the reforms sparked by her case cemented her impact. From a roadside injustice to a federal triumph, Lena's story endures. A reminder that one voice, steady and true, can shift the balance of power and inspire change for generations. Under the flashing red and blue lights on Cedar Lane, Colonel Lena Morgan stood handcuffed, her wrists raw, her dignity assaulted by Officers Brennan and Carter's racist abuse. Yet her story, a thunderclap of justice, teaches two searing lessons. First, courage under fire can topple corruption. Lena, a black woman in her early 40s, faced 6-foot shadows of prejudice but wielded her voice like a blade, her Pentagon call slicing through Oakwood's corrupt veil. Her steely resolve, calm, not cowed, sparked an FBI probe, dismantling 2 careers and igniting reforms across a 50-mile radius. One woman's stand shifted power, proving that bravery, even in chains, can rewrite the rules. Second, systemic change demands relentless accountability. Lena's case, with its 7-year federal sentences, exposed a festering rot in Oakwood's police, forcing body cam mandates and civilian oversight. Her testimony, backed by 30 minutes of damning footage, became a beacon, studied in law schools 200 miles away, urging communities to demand transparency. The drama of that autumn night, her voice echoing through a 10-inch military phone, shows that justice isn't given. It's seized through persistent collective push. Lena's pain, transformed into mentorship for the young officers, didn't fester but fueled progress. Her father's pride a quiet testament 5 miles from the courthouse. These lessons burn bright. Courage dismantles tyranny, and accountability rebuilds trust. As Lena returned to Fort Bragg, 300 miles from Oakwood, her legacy thundered. A call to stand tall, to fight, to change the world, one defiant word at a time. Lena Morgan's fight for justice shook Oakwood. Will you join the movement for change? Like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to dive into more stories of courage and accountability that inspire action. Share your thoughts. How can one voice spark reform? Your engagement fuels our mission to deliver value, empowering you with tales that matter. Don't miss out. Hit that button and stay connected for more.